Scrum Masters! Scrum Masters! Calm yourselves! I tell you, there is no need to worry. Planet Scrum is merely shifting its orbit. It is not going to blow up in a hellish fireball, killing everyone we know and love, and destroying absolutely everything in a meaningless, cataclysmic splat against the night sky. And especially don't you dare send your children off into space!
Grandmaster, what of the Universe Eater? It must be preserved.
Secure it on a ship and launch it immediately.
Oh, now he can send ships into space.
Time box your iterations, my children, and pull from the backlog only at the start of each sprint.
Sounds reasonable.
So, you guys going to tomorrow's fancy dress party?
Nope.
Are fancy dress parties still a thing?
Of course. Want to see my outfit? Hang on. Ta-da!
You're going to the fancy dress as someone in a big hat carrying a broom handle.
I'm Gandalf. And it's not a broom handle, it's a magical staff. Listen.
You shall not pass.
That's an intimidating broom handle Gandalf had.
Well, damn it. You know what I need? The Scrum Master's staff. You seen that thing? It's gnarly, knobbly, filled with character. I wonder if he'd let me borrow it for the night.
You know what's full of character? Virtual machines. They are a thing of beauty. I love them.
Me too.
I'm running Linux here inside Windows, but Linux thinks it's running on raw hardware.
It thinks it's king of the hill.
Cock-a-hoop.
The only operating system in town.
But it's not. It's running on Windows inside a virtual machine.
And you can start another virtual machine, side by side with that one. Completely different configuration.
And they'd never know about each other.
It's fantastic.
It's fantastic.
Oh my God, you two are like children. Hey, can we get some tamales for lunch?
That new food truck on 9th Street?
I hear they make great tamales.
I tried it the other day. The tamales were delicious, but they took too long to serve. I was waiting like 45 minutes for pork tamales. I could prepare them myself in that time.
Uh-oh, here we go again.
I hate Scrum meetings.
Well, this morning I'm going to get something off my chest.
Oh, you're not going to bring up work-in-progress limits again?
I'm telling you, they could work.
All genuflect before his most sprint-samazual Scrum Master.
Our highest priority
Is to satisfy the customer.
through early and continuous
Delivery of
valuable
valuable
software.
software.
welcome changing requirements.
Even
late in
development,
development, agile processes harness
change
change for the customer's competitive advantage.
Rise, my children, and let us join in the daily scrum. The first user story card presented.
Excuse me, Scrum Master, but I was...
Do not interrupt the Scrum Master.
Still, my child, still. We always welcome the opinions of cross-functional teams. At regular intervals, the
Team reflects on how to become more effective.
Speak structure, my child. Give voice to your concerns.
Well, I was wondering about having a work-in-progress limit for our workflow states, and if...
Dare raise this nonsense again?
But it could work. We'd be able to see where our blockages are more
Well-planned
clearly...
sprints and well-estimated user stories have always and will always be enough without dragging in all this workflow nonsense that only serves
Children, let us not argue. Structure, we do not need work-in-progress limits. You must trust the burn-down charts. I shall be glad to re-indoctrinate you afterwards, but now, according to the burn-down chart, user story 1 should be approaching finalization. And so keep stout hearts, my programmers, and let us convene again for tomorrow's Scrum meeting. light of spirit and furious of velocity.
Scrum Master, beautiful Scrum meeting, as usual. Listen, I was planning to go to the fancy dress party as Gandalf, but I don't have a good staff. I couldn't help notice what a majestic staff you have, and I was wondering...
Yes, my child?
I was wondering whether I could borrow it.
You wish to borrow the Universe Eater?
The what?
I'm afraid this is out of the question. You know not what powerful forces it may unleash should it fall into untrained hands.
I'd take good care of it.
The innocence of childhood. Be at peace and code features productively.
I still can't believe the Scrum Master brushed me off like that. Re-indoctrinate.
Well, you have brought up that work-in-progress idea of yours, 5 times already?
We can't see where our blockages are with a Scrum board. We just flop out at the end of the sprint like a gasping fish with nothing done.
Maybe I'd help you if you weren't so aggressive in your tone.
I wasn't aggressive in my tone.
Oh, you can be very aggressive, my friend.
I was perfectly tactful and respectful.
You had a screaming match with that lackey of his.
Well, she's an idiot. And if we had workflows, our user stories would be much better served by the entire...
Enough with the workflows and work in progress already. I came here to relax.
Listen, I gotta go. I have to work on that Scrum Master. I need that staff.
Speaking of which, I don't like that staff. It creeps me out. And the way he lords it over all of us. I don't remember an Agile or Scrum principle saying, "Thou shalt have a staff."
That's the Universe Eater.
The what?
It's sort of a bomb.
A bomb!
Yeah, there actually is an ancient Scrum text that says unless the Scrum Master's careful, it can blow up if the universe becomes infected.
Infected by what?
The text is unclear. I think the phrase it uses is a processual rival.
Processual? Is that even a word?
Probably just a poor translation. No one knows.
Look, I can't eat this sandwich. Are you ready to head back?
Sure.
You know, I'm still hungry.
Well, you should have eaten your sandwich.
Look, there's that tamales food truck everyone's been talking about.
That's where I wanted lunch. Dave says it has a really slow service.
Let's find out.
We don't have time. The next meeting starts in 30 minutes.
Come on, let's try it. Hi.
Afternoon, folks. What will it be?
Well, I'll have 2 pork tamales, good sir.
2 pork tamales, coming right up.
So, business good?
You bet. Though, it's hard to keep up with orders during lunch hour. Sometimes we have to make fresh chili paste. Sometimes marinate more pork. Sometimes make more masa. All during rush hour. And if we have to soak more corn husks, forget about it. My customers can't wait that long and go somewhere else.
Never thought about getting someone to help you?
Oh, we tried that. I had my cousin work with me last summer, but everything went even slower. We just got under each other's.
You know, if you split your process into 3 workflows, each with a work in progress limit of 2 items each, then you and your cousin could have soaking corn husks in one workflow, salsa and dough preparation in the second workflow, and pork braising in the third workflow. The 2 of you could work perfectly in parallel, and with those work in progress limits, you'd always have fresh tamales ready to serve.
Hey, wow. That's great advice. I'm gonna call my cousin right now. Thanks, mister.
You're so welcome.
Oh my God.
Dave, are those integration tests passing after that refactoring?
Let me check.
Oh, I had the best lunch ever. Have you tried those tamales from the food truck on 9th Street?
But I heard they had such slow service.
No, they streamlined their production just today. They're so fast now.
Structure. How's that task of yours?
I'm struggling a bit. I think our team velocity is off. I always have a mad rush at the end of a sprint. You know what would help? If we had workflows.
Oh my God, I can't take this anymore. Look, you really want to see these workflows and work in progress of yours?
Do I want to see them implemented here? Why, yes, I do.
Okay, let me prepare something. Join me in that meeting room at 4 o'clock, okay?
For what?
Just be on time.
Oh, Scrum Master. Listen, I wonder if I could have a quick chat with you.
Alas, my child, Scrum Mastering takes a rather significant toll on the mortal frame, and frankly I'm starving. Could this wait till later?
You hungry? Let me buy you a late lunch. Do you like Mexican food?
Why, Scrum Masters adore Mexican food.
Great, I have some fast tamales that'll blow your maracas.
Gentlemen, what would you like?
Well, could I ask how long it would take for a couple of pork tamales?
No time at all. We got our work process split into 3 workflows with a work in progress limit of 2, so we can handle anything.
What workflows? Work in progress limits? Infection? I must contain this. I must contain this.
Careful, mind the traffic, mind the...
Oh my god! He's unconscious! Quick, get him into my car! We need to get this man to the hospital!
Mm-hmm.
So, here I am.
Okay, give me a sec.
What, were you preparing?
Got it. Follow me.
Okay. So...
One sec. Okay, that is our universe. This over here is another.
What do you mean that's our universe? Where are we?
We're outside of what you know as your reality, and that reality is the universe we've just left, running on, well, you can think of it as it's running on its own virtual machine.
Our universe runs in a virtual machine?
Well, no, but that's about the closest analogy your brain could handle. No offense.
Oh?
So I started another virtual machine with another universe running it, but just changed 1 or 2 tiny things. I introduced workflows and work-in-progress limits at a key point in this universe's socioeconomic evolution, when software development processes on Earth were still in flux before the discovery of Merzad limits.
Before the discovery of...
Never mind. Look, the point is that if we go through that portal, you'll be able to see how your beloved work-in-progress limits have worked out. Want to see them?
You created an entire universe just to show me how a software process might work.
Well, you wouldn't shut up about it.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Look, do you want to see this or not?
I'd love to. And it's still so sweet.
Yes.
Yes, what?
Yes, those integration tests are passing after our refactoring.
Nice.
Do you want us to report this at the Kanban meeting?
At the what?
Do you want us to report this or, save it for Friday and pull it out of the bag at the last minute?
Report it? Listen, what's our team's work-in-progress limit?
What do you mean? It's still 3, isn't it? Are we changing it again?
No. And do you like working with work-in-progress limits?
What? No, listen, can we pair program that last refactoring after the Kanban meeting?
After the what?
What's gotten into you? Look, we need to talk after the meeting.
All genuflect before his right workflowy and most whip-limiting Kanban fairy.
Kanban fairy?
Listen up, you maggots. I've seen better Java programmers in the kindergarten for dead fungus. You're not fit to write the semicolons in a teenager's love poem, let alone in our code. Who on this good earth told you that you were worthy of coming into this building today? Shut your pie holes. I do not want to hear your excuses. The only thing you will ever say is committed to master, and you will say this every stinking day of your miserable lives here. You will write code so well structured that crystals will worship it as a god, and your code will execute without fault.
Fun universe you got here.
Okay, that was horrible. Or at least that Kanban fairy guy is a disaster. Why is he so angry all the time?
Ready to go back now?
Just give me 1 more hour. I still have to check how productive our XFTs are.
So, you'd work under this Kanban fairy if productivity's high enough?
No. I'm just curious.
Okie dokie, 1 more hour it is.
What the?
Ready to go back now?
Yeah. But you know, the XFTs here look like they're slightly more productive than with our Scrum.
You're really gonna argue that?
I'm just saying that Kanban Fairy isn't the only consideration.
A Scrum Master? Ah!
You shall not pass!
As far as I can tell, they were releasing features 10 to 20% faster than we were. And who's to say...
Oops. I hope you weren't too attached to that universe of ours.
Attached? What do you mean? Where's our portal?
I'm afraid our universe has been annihilated.
What?
Yep, it's gone.
How did that happen?
That universe-eating thing at the top of the Scrum Master staff. Remember? I said it could blow up if the universe became infected.
Yes?
Well, looks like the universe became infected.
Infected by what?
Would you believe Kanban?
How did Kanban spread back to our universe?
No idea.
Well, this is great. So where do we go from here?
Not too many options open to us, I'm afraid.
No, we can't go back there. It's horrible working under that process.
Well, I don't see too many other universes floating around, do you?
Can you at least reconfigure it somehow? To get rid of Kanban and bring back Scrum?
I can try, but it's tricky rewinding a universe and playing it back to just the right point with inserted changes. And I have to make sure to erase every single strand of Kanban, if even one's left behind.
But you can't do it, yes? Just search through all software development companies ever and delete.
Give me a sec.
What is this guy made of anyway?
There, that should do it. Let's go.
Oh, I'm sure everything's back to normal. Fingers crossed. Well, I never thought I'd be so happy to see a Scrum board again.
Yeah, I'm not finding anything about Kanban in any software documentation, in any software development company.
I knew it would all work out in the end. Is that the Scrum Master staff?
Yeah, there was an accident.
And it's not blowing up the universe.
It's not blowing up the universe?
I think a celebration's in order.
Oh, if you want to celebrate, can we go get some of those tamales? I was meant to get some earlier, but had to leave unexpectedly.
Why, tamales sound excellent, my good man.
What can I get you folks?
I will have
Oh, you, my friend. I can't thank you enough. Once I implemented your work in progress limits, I've been serving far more customers than ever before.
Oops, forgot this place.
Post-credits, how marvel. Last time we claimed that the goal of structuring is to make structures that are cheap to change, which means that our investigation is going to be heavily focused on measuring this change. Before we can dive into all this delicious measuring, however, we need to be careful about what we mean by source code structure. In fact, what do we even mean by the word structure? Now, I know this is more tedious definition guzzling, but once we get this out of the way at the start, then we can power ahead and just refer back, so let's just get through this. Structure. Something made up of a number of parts that are held or put together in a particular way. Yay, definitions. But it's such a general word that we can't really be surprised to see that pop up as the first definition that search finds. Though it doesn't quite suit our needs for reasons that won't become apparent for a long time, so let's try another that at least satisfies this definition, if adding a little more. Let's swap element for part and say that a structure is a set of elements and their properties, where one such property of an element is the set of elements to which it's connected. We've clearly introduced this idea of properties, but, well, we can take any definition we like as our basis and hope that those properties eventually bear fruit. So how do we apply this definition to source code structure in particular? Take this code snippet, where method calculateResult calls method readDataFromFile. What is the structure of these two methods? What are the elements? Well, there are many possibilities, and really it's up to us, again, to just choose one. We could, for example, choose to measure change on statement level. That is, investigate how each line of code changes as revisions of product are committed. If we choose this, then each statement might become an element, perhaps related to those around it temporally, whereby each element is connected to an element either before or after it. But we're not taking that approach here, and instead considering the basic unit of change to be the method itself. The method is the element. The connecting relationship then becomes the code dependency. CalculateResult calls readDataFromFile. Therefore, CalculateResult depends on readDataFromFile. Therefore, element CalculateResult is connected to element readDataFromFile. Similar to what we did in the first episode, we can model a method as a circle and a connection as a directed line between them, so that our code snippet structure looks like this. Note that our model emits a huge amount of information from the original source code. There are no loops or blocks or streams. We should automatically question whether our model is therefore oversimplified. This is a valid question, which we can't answer yet. If our model helps us to make falsifiable predictions about large-scale objective measurements of source code, then it's not oversimplified. But maybe it is. We don't know yet, and only time will tell. Now, you might think that we couldn't get any more irritatingly pedantic and that we could just get on with it, but you'd be wrong. See, there's a funny thing about this structure. It's actually two structures. We need to talk linguistics. The study of language presents two interesting concepts. When you read a sentence, say, John kicked the ball, two aspects of that sentence present themselves simultaneously. Firstly, there's the meaning of each part. You know John is a male, and he hit a spherical object with his foot. You know this because you know the meaning of each word and the real-world concepts to which each word maps. This is the semantic aspect, where semantics simply relates to the meaning of words. Secondly, there is the grammatical aspect of the sentence, where John is a proper noun and the subject of the sentence, kicked is a past tense of a verb, the is the definite article, etc. This is the syntactic aspect of the sentence, where syntax is the study of rules with which words are combined to form sentences. In a sense, both these aspects can be seen in our little source code structure too. The semantic structure of our model relates to the meanings we associate with the names of the methods. The syntactic structure relates simply to two elements having properties, the property of one being that it's connected to another. Now I know, when programmers hear syntax, we think matching brackets and missing semicolons, but we're discussing here not the syntax of the language, but the syntax of the structure, by which we mean the rules with which elements are combined to form structures. Anyway, both these aspects matter in programming because we're looking for good source code structure, and what's good semantically is not the same as what's good syntactically. We can see this more clearly if we take a ridiculous extreme. Let's say you're writing the code for a hydroelectric power station and decide to put all the code for the power station in one method called generate electricity and all the code for water management in a method called manage water. Most programmers would end up with this structure because the generation of electricity depends on water. This is a good semantic structure because the dependencies between our model elements match those of the real world. If the semantic structure were instead this, where water management depends on generate electricity, then this might strike you as odd, because water has been around for billions of years. It doesn't depend on hydroelectric power stations for its existence. Hydroelectric power stations, however, do depend on water. So because the dependency here jars with that which we would expect in the real world, that is, it contradicts the meanings we associate with those method names, then this is a bad semantic structure. But there is nothing wrong with either syntactic structure. A good way to see the syntactic structure is simply to remove all real-world meaning mapping, which we can do by replacing the element names with abstract names like x and y. Doing this, we see both syntactic structures are equivalent. One element is connected to another. We also see that the syntactic structure is somehow more fundamental than the semantic structure. When you remove all meaning, the syntactic structure remains. So what then is a bad syntactic structure? Well, that's the whole point of this series. Although the semantic analysis of programs is a hugely powerful tool and we'll use it extensively here, we're not going to search for the rules of good semantic structuring, for reasons that we'll explain in the next episode. Instead, we're looking for what makes good syntactic structure. What are the properties of x and y that lead us to think that x's depending on y is good or bad, regardless of what x and y means? That is, note, regardless of what x and y is doing. Next episode, we'll continue to investigate how to measure changes to this syntactic structure of source code, and I promise, no more Chomsky.